Even if you gave me one of your pieces there, Dave, I don't think I could do that.
You have enough.
It's a lot more than I usually eat for supper.
You ready? Can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please?
Okay. My name's Larry Neal. I've met many of you, but not all. And some of the folks on this swing shift and night shift I have met. And so I'm, it's the old joke, I'm from the home office and I'm here to help. I am from the home office. I'm the program manager for the AFCAP for all of this stuff. So I've had a lot, I've been involved in it for about a year and a half, I guess. We weren't the original owners of the contract. It was another group, and they were having some problems, and they brought it over to us and asked us to take it over, which we did. So it's, we've had our struggles, and many of you have lived through those, so I appreciate that. Thank you. And some of the people that got a year, that's pretty impressive, because it's not an easy place to be. I know that. So one of the things that's recently happened is we've gotten a contract extension. I think everybody knows that. The government has the right, under the FARs, and I don't know if the Federal Acquisition Regulations, they can extend our contract without consent, unilaterally, as they say. And they've done that. They've extended us a month. So one of the things I want to talk about a little bit is, what's that mean to you? What's that all about? And how's it going to impact you and your wallet? And then secondly, the contract is going to end. It was going to end on the 11th of May would be the last day. Now it's going to be the 11th of June. What about the 12th of June? What about the 12th of June the year after that and the year after that? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And I want to get feedback from everybody who wants to give it, on how we might improve and do better next time. So this is only about 5 slides. I'll try not to bore you horribly. What I do? Oh, this is well. Oh well. Anyway, AFCAP has extended our contract. We received a letter, and I put here XX January 12th, because I wasn't sure of the date. It's actually the 1st of February. We got the letter, and they informed us of the intent to extend for 1 month until the 11th of June. They can extend further. We don't know yet whether they will or not, but we don't expect them to. Nonetheless, the extension till June is official. So they've extended us a month. We want each of you to stay with us. I've only been here a couple of days, and I've been pretty sleepy most of that time. But one of the things that's very apparent to me is the team works pretty good. I look around here and I'm getting to know some of the people, and I like, that's good. And I see a lot of real positive energy and a pretty well-run ship, I think. It's got a lot to do, I think, with Fernando and Jesus, and the Venoms, Vic and Ray and everybody, and the team leads, Mr. Johnson and Levon, the whole team. So, but everybody contributes to that. So, we do want everyone to stay. You guys have it figured out, is the way I put it up here. The team is working well, and everybody is needed. I think the leadership is solid, and the chemistry on the team is good. It's a very short observation by me, but there's a lot of others that agree. And Fernando continues to pump you guys up and talk about how well the team is performing and how well each individual is doing and how important it is. So it's all good. Leave impacts. What does that mean? Well, can I take another R&R? We are going to extend the cutoff date. We were holding the cutoff date until March. In March, and I don't know exactly what date you had said. We're going to extend it. We're going to allow people to take an R&R if they're due one, and they want to, out into April. Leave requests, we still have to evaluate them like always. They have to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. They got to be done by a month before the contract ends, which now takes it out into the middle of May or the first week of May. We've got to maintain our boots on the ground. We've got to have enough people here to do what the Air Force has hired us to do. And then, when we go through the selection process, R&R will be based on time from the last leave, leaves taken or sold. As always, Fernando will still have the right of refusal, if you will, or he'll be the one to make the decisions. But he'll try and do it as best he can to cater to everybody. One of the things here, the last one, I don't know if everybody can see it, but I think this is a question that several people have asked, not of me, but of Fernando, is can we sell our last leave? And I'm not sure of that. I don't have that answer. I have asked the question. The agreement we have with you is a contract. We have a contract with each one of you. And so we can, the contract says you can't, the contract along with the policies and things say you can't sell 2 leaves in a row. So if you sold your last one, by policy you wouldn't be able to sell your next one. We're trying to get that superseded. We're trying to get that overturned so that you can if you want to. Should have an answer, I would expect, in a few days, and I can feed that back to everybody through, in one manner or another, once we find out. So we'll let you know that, but we know people have requested that, and we're going to try and make that happen. What about my bonus? Bonuses will be paid per the employment agreements, EAs. The quarterly bonus will be payable to active current employees as of the 11th of May. That's just like it says in your employment agreement. That addendum that you got to start the second year, for those of you that already had a contract, and for those of you that didn't, the new contract that you signed, those are the words that are in there. At least I hope I got them right. Discretionary bonus. There's that discretionary bonus, that potential larger bonus, will be payable in the same manner. We will, the value will be determined as soon as possible after May the 11th. The basis for that bonus is we had a budget for people for turnover, for staff turnover. And the idea was if we can reduce that by keeping you folks, by getting more people to stay a year or more, that savings can be shared with everybody in the form of a bonus. So we're doing pretty well. We're doing better than the budget. That much I can tell you for certain. We have to go through and determine actual costs and then compare them to the budget. So that has to be done, and we can't do it until the 11th of May because that's the end of the contract. So in the week or so after that, we'll do that evaluation, make the determination of the bonuses, and then it could be that there'll be the second pay period after the 11th, not the first. And that's just because of the accounting cycle and having to get the information. Going to try and keep it so that they're both paid at the same time. It could be one paycheck later, no more. So that's the way we're going to do that. And then, because we are getting extended, we want you guys to stay, as I said a minute ago. We're going to throw a little sweetener in the pot. And what we're going to do, the most recent, the quarterly bonus that's due in May is $2,000. If you divide that by 3 months, you get $666.66, $667. So we're going to add a $667 bonus for each of you that stays through the end till the 11th of June. That will be payable the first paycheck after that. So that's something that we're going to we'll drop a little addendum. I hope to keep it very simple. Get each of you to sign it, but that will be in there. So we're sweetening the pot a little bit. It's not, nobody's going to retire on $667, I know that, but it's, we want it to be fair to everybody. And so that would be the same bonus as if you were to stay 3 months and get $2,000. So that's how that's how it'll pack your bonus. This is, I think, the part that will get some interest and some interaction. We want you to stay with us on the next one. They're going to recompete this. They've postponed it till June because they have not gotten their act together, and that is the Air Force and the contracting folks, to get a request for proposal to us so that we can bid the job again. They'll do that soon, we believe, and we're going to bid on the next one. We want to win the next one. We're pretty good at this now. I shouldn't say we. You are pretty good at this now. And so based on that, we'd be silly. Not only are we pretty good at it, I believe that we're the best in the AFCAP, of the AFCAP contractors. Nobody else is really doing it, with the exception of the one out in Shindan, and they've gotten off to a slow start. Now it'll pick up, and they'll get the hang of it, but it'll take them some time. So I think right now, certainly right now, we're the best of the bunch. So we want you to stay, and let's do the next one. We're preparing to bid the next monitor's contract. Like I said, the request for proposal is expected very soon. So one of the things I wanted to talk about with each of you, or with the group, is how can we do better next time? You know, there's a couple things, and we have to balance things. In order for us to win, we have to put in a proposal that meets the requirements of the Air Force. The requirements here are pretty straightforward and very, very easy to quantify, or very easy to grade yes or no. It's kind of a true or false deal. Do you have enough people here? We want you to maintain 75 people minimum at Bagram. And right now it's 12 at Kandahar. It's going to go to 10 at Kandahar. That's what you have to do. Did you do it or didn't you? If you did, thank you, and we'll pay you. If you don't, I want some money back. But so they look at that, they look at our proposal, are we going to do it or not? And then they say, okay, everybody says they're going to do it, check, 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 check. Okay, now how much is it costing me? And if everybody got checks all the way down, then it's a question of how much is the bid. How much is your cost versus somebody else's bid? And they call it low cost, technically acceptable. Technically acceptable means you meet their criteria. Low cost is pretty straightforward and simple. So that's how that works. And that's how they'll evaluate our bids. So anyway, what we have to try and do then is find a better way, better way to skin the cat. How better to capture, how to become more efficient and more effective, and still be cost competitive. Somebody said to me today, I was sitting out there smoking. That's one of my many bad habits. I apologize for that. Said to me today, well, just raise the salaries to $85,000. Cool idea. Yeah, I wanted to write it down, but I didn't have a pencil. However, if you do that, at Shindan right now, they just awarded a contract much like this, very similar. It's 100, I think it's 100 if I recall. And you guys probably all know this better than I do. They're paying less there than we're paying. Now, I'm not suggesting we're going to do what they're doing, but what I am telling you or suggesting is that is a benchmark. Going back to this low cost, technically acceptable, that's a benchmark that people are going to look at, that are the bid evaluators are going to look at. So we have to keep that in mind. So, but there are other costs. It's not just salary costs. It's mobilization. Every one of you had to get a physical. Every one of you had to get clearances. Every one of you had to fly from wherever. Most of you probably from Florida, Panama City, to here. That all costs money. If we can reduce the amount of turnover, that'll save money, help push the bid down, help us pay more. The turnover, turnover is a big one. I mean, that's a big part of the costs. Number of people that we retain is another one. If we retain, so let's just say we have 100 people. If we retain 80, then we've only got to bring in 20 people and pay all those costs I just talked about. We got to bring 20 people in. If we can only retain 60, then I got to bring 40 people in, and that's expensive. Every person that comes in costs somewhere around $10,000. The company invests $10,000 in every one of you to get you a physical, to get you flown to Florida, to get you flown over here, do all of your clearance work and all the other stuff that has to happen. That doesn't count the home office support and things like that. So it's not cheap to mobilize somebody. If I got to mobilize 40 people, $10,000 a pop, you can do the arithmetic. It's significant. So anyway, those are the things that I hope that we could get some feedback and get some thoughts from you on what would it take, one, to keep you, to get you to sign up again. People tenure, this 1-year tenure, that's pretty impressive. I'd love to be able to hand those same people a 2-year plaque and a 3-year plaque. 3-year plaque, I promise, will be really big. So those are things, but first we have to figure out how we're going to bid this. What's our strategy to bid this? And I don't think anybody knows better than you guys how to do this job and how to maybe do it better, how to do it more effectively, how more efficiently, more cost effective. So I, what I wanted to do was just stand up here and say, hey, what do you think? Got some ideas? What's it going to take to get you to yes, sir?
Is there a language program or maybe a language booklet that you could provide?
Exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I? Okay. Pardon me?
Good for you.
Come on, for the TCNs.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my language was inappropriate. I'm sorry. All right. That is what you were talking about, right? Okay. All right. Look, let me answer that in just a second. Does everybody understand what I'm trying to, the message I'm trying to convey? I thought so. Yeah, most everybody. Okay. And if you got questions that I'm not clear about, I'll be happy to answer. And I'm sure you're not alone. One of the things that, and it's awful, and you guys experience it a lot too. This is a little bit of an aside, but when you work with the military, everything's an acronym, right? And so after a while, you start talking like that, and pretty soon you talk in code, and you walk up to somebody and you say, well, I'm working with AFCAP, and I'm at BAF, and I want to go to the Cadillac. What in the heck did you just say? I have no clue what you said. So if I do that, say, hey, Blair, I don't understand that. And I'll be happy to explain. I apologize if I do that. Going back to what you said, a language booklet. It's like some kind of a pocket translator thing?
Well, I mean, our job is to work around and with these Afghanis, but we can't even understand them. And some of them, I mean, you hear stories about it all the time. People are like, oh, I've made friends with this Afghani guy, and he came up and he told me who the terrorists were.
Whoa.
Why aren't we doing that? We gotta find them.
Interesting. Well, could we get books to help you, like little pocket translators and, common phrases and stuff like that? I'm sure we can. The other stuff is more interesting about the kind of information you get and what to be done with that. And that one I think we should probably table and talk to the master or somebody, but interesting idea. Oh, and just so you know, two things before we go any further. One is that Fernando has offered to help me because I didn't want to turn my back to you and type as we talk. So Fernando's going to help and write down the questions that are asked, and the person that asked it in case we don't get everything or don't get it right. And we're going to answer every single one to you and to the group. The way I haven't thought really, to be honest with you, about how I would disseminate all the answers to everybody. We might come back and eat more pizza, and we'll just go down the questions. I'm going to pick on you. Levon asked this question, and here's the answer. So we'll go through that and see. But we're going to capture everything anyway. The other thing is, and maybe we'll do this at the end. I'll ask. What I'll do is I'll ask the team leads maybe in the morning, the monitor leads in the morning, and the Venoms. We could do this in smaller groups. Sometimes when you're in a big group, at the end of the day, you're tired. I don't really want to listen to that right now. I'm tired. I want to go. I got to take my laundry in. I got to do whatever. So if it turns out that we could do it, each team, Alpha, all the way to Golf, and do it for each team, and we could have little smaller discussions and brainstorming sessions, because that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for ideas from you folks to help me sharpen my pencil, as they say, put a better proposal in, and thereby win it. Yes, sir.
A quick question. Maybe not so quick.
It's okay.
For many of us here, this is not our first contract. Many of us have multiple contracts under our belt.
Okay. Good.
Most of us have been through an end of the contract session. And some of us are just kind of wondering what's going to happen. About half the people here say that they're going to leave on May the 12th. If that happens, what happens to my contract if I stay? you will be less than 75 people that are required if half the people leave.
Well, if half the people leave, then we're gonna have to scramble some. Candid, being honest and candid, okay? If half of the workforce were to leave, we're obviously in a bind. That's part of the reason I'm here. Part of the reason I'm standing up in front of you folks is to tell you we don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. I want every single person in this room to stay. Now, that's not probably practical. Some people have plans. Maybe somebody's got a job that they start the 13th of May in outside of Atlanta or in Cleveland, Ohio, or wherever. I don't know. Everybody's got lives. You know, there's 100 and, what did you tell me, 101 people? 101 lives. And they're all different. So we have to deal with that. But regardless of what happens, regardless of whether not a single person leaves or half the people leave, I'm not leaving. I'm staying, and I'm going to do whatever I can and whatever I have to support this job. And it might mean me coming back and standing out at Alpha Ramp. It might, and I would do that. So it's not, it's not an easy question to answer. I can't categorically answer it. What's going to happen to your contract? I told you. If you stay, this is what I'll do for you. And I want you to stay. You've been here for a year, and I want you to stay with me 2 more. That's the honest truth. I want to win this job, and I want you on it. That's my. That's the best answer I have to that question. I don't have a better one.
Yeah. What is percentage-wise? What are you feeling the possibilities of winning the next contract? 50, 60, 70, 10?
We have at least a 20% because there's only 5 contractors, right?
All right.
so that's the bottom. Okay. My feel is we're better than 50%. So that means that if it's 20%, just based on the numbers, you got 5 people putting in bids, you got a 20% shot. Because we are, one, the incumbent, that makes us preferable, okay? Number 2, because we are here, sitting in this room right now, we should be less expensive to mobilize. Now, if I was not to win the contract, and somebody else was to win it, just 1 second, then they would probably come to you and say, hey, come work for me. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. Those OURS guys aren't worth the crap. I'm good. So they'll try and pursue you guys. But ultimately, I think we have an advantage over everybody else because we have you, and we have all of you. So I think our chances are better than 50%. Are they 80%? It's pretty tough when you got 5 bidders. And the guy that bid it and won it in Shindan bid 12.5% salaries lower than me. So I got to find a way to make that up because I don't want to cut salaries. I want to do better, not worse. But the competition is pretty stiff, and so that's why we got to figure out how to sharpen our pencil. Is that a good answer? Is that okay? You get it?
Yeah.
All right, wait, he was next though.
Yeah, I'm repeating the question that was asked last week.
Okay.
How they gonna pay out these bonuses on May 12th or May 11th? Is it from the time you got here, or everybody getting the same check?
They're going to be, which bonuses are you talking about?
I think it was
The discretionary bonus? It'll be paid in accordance with your agreement. I don't have the agreement in my pocket. I believe that they are prorated based on your time here, your tenure. That if people were here, like the folks that have been here a year, and it just intuitively makes sense. I'd have to go back and read it, and I'll tell you what, that's one that I'll come back and categorically answer for you. But intuitively, it says to me that if somebody was here a year, somebody was here 2 months, the year person would get a bigger chunk of that bonus than the 2 months. I believe that's the way it works. Okay, you got that one right, Fernando, and I'll make sure of that. Thank you. So that's the best I can do at the moment, but I'll get back to you. I think maybe you were next.
Yeah. Can URS and WGI be a viable bidder and still make a profit on this contract, or do we have to be in the red?
If we have to be in, no. The answer to your question is yes, we can be a viable bidder and make money. If we couldn't, we wouldn't bid it. Okay, that much I can tell you for sure. If we couldn't, it's a business, right? This is a business, and so the business is perform services to people and make a profit at it. And one of the predecessor companies, the legacy companies they call them, to URS used to say, all we want is a fair shot at a fair profit. So, a fair shot meaning we don't have to take on inordinate risk, and then at a fair profit that we're not asking to, to double, we're just asking for something that's fair and reasonable in the industry. So yes, we can make money. There were some errors made by people before my time, fortunately, or I probably wouldn't be standing here, that it's why we didn't do well in this one. It took a little convincing, and I have to tell you that I was the biggest proponent of this job and of this contract and chasing it again. I pushed pretty hard and got folks to say, all right, it's the right thing to do, we're going to chase it. So we are, and we will make money. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the machine, right here, this machine is running pretty damn good. And so we understand it better, we understand the dynamics of it better, and the numbers, and we can do a better job. So, yes, we can make money. I'm not sure, go ahead.
What about including reimbursement for travel? When we book our tickets, we generally have to pay out-of-pocket costs for 2 separate travel agencies. And that's a good chunk of change. The initial ticket over here, I believe, was around $2,600.
Okay.
That's not enough money. I mean, if the company wants to reimburse or plan to travel without out-of-pocket costs for each individual, that's fine. But when we generally go on R&R, we get a 15-day window with 4 travel days, or 3 travel days, if somebody correct me. So one of the things you might consider is extending the R&R time so that those 4 days are eaten up, and we do actually get time to spend with our families and come back.
All right, so and once again, and this is something I wanted to say, and I think it's intuitively obvious, or it's apparent to but I want to say it anyway. There's a quid pro quo, right? So, you give and you get. And that's essentially, I don't know the actual Greek translation, but quid pro quo. So, you give some, you get some. So, one of the things that if we extended the R&Rs, there may be a shorter one in there someplace. Every day you're away from work, somebody else has to fill your shoes so that we have the number of boots on the ground. So, it's a balancing act, but I think that's something we could look at and make work, I think. I have to think about it, but I think we can do that. Yes, sir.
I got 2 simple ones and a hard one. Simple one. A lot of us are out there, we're on the line by ourselves. What's the chance of getting some medical training in here, like responder first, or even first aid or anything? Because when we're out on line, all we got is ourselves.
Okay, we did get one of the things that cost the company money out of pocket was adding the medic on site. That was not. That wasn't included in the original plan, and so we had to, but it was necessary. It was evident that it was necessary. People had to be taken care of. To train people, I think that's certainly to train some first aid people here. I think we could do something like that.
Like the Red Cross training.
Yeah, I don't see why. I think that's a great idea, actually.
Second question.
Okay.
We get equipment in that does not suit our needs. These blue jackets with these liners, last year I
I'm going to get a bottle of water.
and almost froze in the middle of winter because they got their deal. The insulated boots they gave us come up to your ankles. Now you've been out there, you've seen the puddles we have to walk through.
They're deeper than we need hip boots, huh?
So somebody down here at least needs to be able to put input up there on the equipment we actually have to have.
All right.
And somebody makes some sense on it, because if we say we need boots up, halfway up the shin, that's what we need. And we don't need jackets that soak through and you're standing out there in sub-degree weather, freezing, there's nothing to get into.
Makes sense to me.
Now it will be a little more painful.
All right, okay.
According to the special circumstances.
Let me assume the position.
According to the special conditions of our initial contract. And I went through Maryland when I came through.
Go ahead, yeah.
It says we are paid, or our leave starts at an authorized debarkation point. We have been paying our ways from here to Dubai. The only 2 recognized theater debarkation points are Dubai and Kuwait City. So we're paying our way to and from here. Now when I went through Maryland, I was told that wasn't the case, that our money started either in Dubai or quit, but we've been paying our ways in and out. And that's what the heartache of a lot of these people are.
Okay, all right. You want to add to that?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I was on 2 different contracts before this one, and the companies that I was with paid for our way to and from theater, but this one don't.
On your R&R.
Yeah.
What we did is we made a lot, and that's, they're not, okay, let me say that all the contracts are not the same. All the contractors and all the contracts are not the same. So it's difficult to make a categorical statement that says, this is how it works. No, that's not true. I can tell you that I've interviewed a lot of people who, well, one in particular, well, not a lot, one guy that worked for, I think it was KBR, was on the, might have been Floor, was on the log cap. He worked 7 days a week, this is what he said, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, no R&R, period, 365. So there are extremes in both, and that's an extreme, and I'm not suggesting we do that.
He couldn't be in KBR.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so one of the contractors, one of the contractors does it. And don't forget that not all jobs are the same. Okay, so, but anyway, the point is, there is an allowance for R&R travel, some R&R travel. It's not, we don't pay for everyone. One of the things we did on the recent contract was to take it from $2,000 to $2,500 if you made your own travel reservations. So that seemed like a good thing. Maybe it wasn't. It seemed like a good thing. That we add an extra $500 to make it that way you can get home. But you have to call the travel agent yourself. We're not going to do that because every time we deal with American Express it costs money. Why spend that money? Why not give it to you and let you get on the, and you could probably get a better price than me anyway. You go out on Travelocity or something like that, I'm not supposed to do that. I can't do that by corporate policy. You go on Travelocity or whatever, Orbitz or whatever it is, and get a better deal.
Well, the thing that confuses me is it specifically stipulates that the lead pay, and it gives the amount, I can go down and get my contract.
Yeah.
Starts at the debarkation point, and that URS will provide transportation free of cost from assignment to debarkation point. FAA, DOD.
I think you're confusing that. I think you're confusing 2 clauses, but perhaps not.
No,
And
it's all in one.
we'll go back. We'll look at that. Okay. Embark and where you embark and disembark is a function of that trip. I don't think it's by. I don't believe it's by definition. It's not by the DOD definition necessarily. It says defined in that contract. I believe. My understanding of it. When I read it, I did not read it the way you read it.
Well, like I said, I was told this in Maryland before I came over.
Well, it could be that they were, God forbid the corporate office is wrong, but it could be they were just plain
I'm
wrong.
just letting you know, because that's what's got a lot of these people that are bothered by it because of the amount of money it costs us just to get out of here and back. Plus, that's why a lot of your people have left. Because Floor, as you brought up, they send their people out every 4 months. They pay the way down, 2 days of room in the place and play back. Even Sabre pays the same thing.
Now, is that on log cap?
Yep.
I don't know what it is.
Okay. It's log cap, right? There's a difference, and with these two, well, we'll talk about it as long as we need to.
No, I'm just letting you know this is what you're fighting.
Okay, well that's good. That stuff I want to know, and I want to. We want to be fair. We want to be reasonable. We want to work together. Again, that's what I'm trying to do. Log cap is a cost reimbursable contract. Okay, I think everybody knows what that means. Yeah, or does everybody know what that means? Cost reimbursable means all of your costs as a company, all the costs that you incur are reimbursed. In other words, the government pays you for those, costs, and then there's other monies that you can, your profit that you get, and other costs that you add to them. They call it G&A, General Administrative Costs. So those costs are added to it, but it's reimbursable. This is a fixed price contract. There is no reimbursement here. We bid it, we win it, we do it for that price, period. So it's easier for them to, 1, pay higher salaries, 2, do pay for every trip. Why should in fact, if I have a cost reimbursable job, the more I spend, the more I make. As long as I can get it approved by my contracting representative, the more I spend, the more I make. That's part of the reason the government is trying to stop that stuff, because it costs them more. As a contractor, the more money I spend, I'll send you through Tahiti back to Cleveland, Ohio, because that's going to cost more, and then I can get reimbursed for it. And plus I can add my markup to it and my fee to it and make more money. There are people who think that way. We have to try and we're in a competitive environment. We have to compete with CH2M Hill, RMS, DynCorp. There's a URSJB, and you're next. You can put your arm down and you're going to get tired. and us. Okay, those are the 5 contractors. So we have to compete with them and their packages. It's a little bit, if you will, like comparing apples and oranges, because it's a cost reimbursable contract. Mine is not. So it's something that we have to deal with. Now, can we do a better job of picking the right mix? Of getting the right amount of money for travel? Many contracts only pay for 1 trip a year. And if you get more leaves, but you got to pay for them yourself. Maybe those contracts you haven't been on, but they exist, I can assure you. We can do that. So I don't know, maybe this is something we can brainstorm in smaller groups. What would work best for you? What would work best for you? Make sure that I get all the way home and back at least once or twice. And then the third one I'm going to have to, maybe I'll sell it, maybe I won't go, maybe whatever.
Just add 900 to the 2,500 R&R fee.
And that I can do that too. I can do that. I can do, like I said, I can raise your salary to $85,000. But you'll be working for somebody else and not for $85,000. So we have to balance these things. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do, and that's why I want your help. I want to get the right balance. I don't know what it is. I guessed. Okay, some of the stuff I want to tell you guys one thing. I should have said this early. I was an expatriate for 15 years, so this is not foreign to me. What's different for me is this region. But I've lived in lots of places, and I've told most of you, or some of you, this anyway. But I was an expatriate most recently in Russia, for 4.5 years in Russia. So I've done it. I've dealt with the R&Rs. I've dealt with all that stuff. I've been there, done that. It's not easy. I know that too. And I'd love to hear and brainstorm about viable ways we can do this and what would work best for you. It's a lot of words. I want to hear more, and I want to try and come up with some thoughts, but I'd like to get them from you. I don't have any, you saw what my ideas were. They're in your contract. So I'd like to make them better this time. Yes, she's been holding her hand up for 15 minutes back there. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, when you talk about cost effective, and I've spoken to a lot of the personnel here. Mm-hmm. And as far as going about maintaining the personnel that you have here, mm-hmm. keeping them here and cutting down on the turnover, is the money that you would spend to bring someone over, sit with us on an individual basis, because everybody's wouldn't be the same. Mm-hmm. So you would say, okay, well look, it's going to cost $20,000 to bring somebody over to replace LaVon. Mm-hmm. But you know what?
You'd probably be more like 25. You're expensive.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But you know what, LaVon, if you stay and you complete that contract, that money that I would have had to spend, I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut it in half and I'm going to put it in your pocket. Yeah, yeah, because you know what? You're dedicated, you're here and you're there. That's going to cut down your turnover rate, keep the people in place.
Yes, ma'am. And absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I couldn't, I'll give you the $5 later. Because we've just had discussions about that very thing today. Is that true? Today and yesterday. So I think he probably seeded this whole deal. But yeah. Today I looked at just that, and yesterday, and trying to think about exactly what you said. What does it cost to mobilize somebody to replace LaVon? And what would it, and that's one of the ways that I could perhaps make us more efficient, more effective, and get our price down, is instead of replacing you, give you some money to stick around. I mean, it's simple. Hey, I'm no rocket scientist, okay? I'm just an average guy like everybody else. But that's intuitively obvious, and I don't mean to degrade your point because it's a good point. But it's obvious. It's an obvious thing to do. So one of the questions and one of the things, and let me tell you two things. First of all, I don't have.
I can't really hear because there's a lot of extra.
Okay, yeah, help out, guys, please. Did you hear everything so far, or no?
I barely, because I can hear that more than I can hear you.
Okay. Please, if you guys would. We're talking about taking the money that it would cost to replace you, and instead of doing that, maybe giving you half of it to stay. Okay? Something like that. So some way to do that. And I wanted to make 2 points. The first one is, I proposed that plan. It's not exactly the way I just said it, but a variation on that. And it's not yet approved, okay? So I'm trying to get it approved. And you smile, it's not that they won't approve it, it's that something, I don't want to say it's radical, but it's a little bit, it requires more authority than me, okay? I haven't got that kind of authority. I'm just a worker, like I said, like everybody else. But I can say to you that I've tried that, I'm thinking about that, I proposed it, and I'm looking at it a couple of ways. Put it at the end, pay it, and so that way it's truly that, or incrementally pay it, or okay. And this is exactly the kind of stuff I want to hear, Levon. Stuff that will work. There's a million ideas. For every one PC, right? Somebody invented and it came out. There's 5,000 plywood remote controls that didn't work, right? So I want the ideas that will. That's what I'm looking for. So that's great. And we are trying that, and I believe the initial feedback I got is very positive. I like that idea, Larry. We got to go run it up the flagpole. We got lots of bosses, but I think we will do something like that, and we should hear something like that. Just 1 second. In just a minute, I would expect very quickly. I'm sorry, you've been. Weren't you asking for? Yeah. Go ahead.
I think what would help is I think a lot of people when we were in Florida or wherever you were when
Panama City, yeah.
Panama City.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were told a lot of different things that when we got here, they weren't true. I know for me personally, I was told after 3 months or after 90 days that they made me take an R&R, and then could sell myself. Some people were told that they were only be in a room with 4 guys. Some people were told they're going to get paid more money, and they weren't getting paid more. So it's different things for everybody. Okay. But I think to cut down on a lot of the confusion, and
disappointment, and people getting upset.
Yeah, I think there needs to be no BS assessment of what you actually are going to face when you get over here, because when you get over here, you're stuck now because you've already quit your job. You've already committed.
I didn't mean to laugh. You said it in a funny way.
You've already committed.
I understand that.
So it's kind of like I'm not going to go back.
Got you now, right? Got you now.
Got you over here. So that's one thing I feel like. And I had a second point. Me personally, I don't feel like any of the TCNs that we deal with are that dangerous because a lot of them stay here on base. But there still is that threat out there.
Only takes one, right?
Yeah, only takes one.
Yeah.
So
Can we turn this off? Something's really hot back here. What is it? It's
that silver.
Oh, right here. Thank you. I don't know. Maybe that's not it, but something's very warm. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But the other day we signed a responsibility list that says pretty much everything that we as monitor and escorts are responsible for on the job. Not one of those things on there was checking vehicles or
really,
or any of the things that we have to do at the gate.
Yeah.
And now me personally, I know. I mean, I have a problem doing it because if something were to happen, there's nobody there to deal with the problem. I don't know what I'm looking for because they just say to look in the vehicle. They don't tell you what to look for. If something looks new, anything could look new. You know what I'm saying? You can clean anything.
Yeah, right.
And we could be stopping 100 vehicles a day. You know what I'm saying? And they tell us to shut some vehicles off, but don't shut these vehicles off. This is very confusing, and I feel like we, as monitors and escorts, are not supposed to be inspecting vehicles because that's not It wasn't in.
It's
what I
not
signed
in your
the
list
other day.
okay, that's fair enough.
I was never
It's not
trained
even
to
the
do
title.
it.
It's not even the name. It's not.
Yeah, and it's kind of dangerous
It
too.
is
dangerous. That's the bottom line. Bottom line is it's dangerous.
We could look at something and it blow up in our face. That's kind of dangerous.
Yeah,
And we
don't want you armed, I'll tell you right now. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's you know, that's something that, I'll go back and I'll look at what our contract says with that. And maybe, but there are certain things we can't control, you know, we have to serve our customer. But is there one, I mean, why wasn't it on the list? That's a very good question. I mean, if this is my list of responsibilities and it's not there, then I guess I'm not responsible for that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all.
I understand exactly what you're saying. So let me dig in. That one I don't have an answer for, I'm afraid. But we'll talk around a little bit and I'll look again and we'll feedback.
I feel like what happened was when we got here and it was kind of something that the Air Force threw upon us just to do because they didn't have either one that manpower or they didn't feel like they needed to do that.
Okay.
So they put it on us.
Okay.
Also, the Air Force on the classes, we've had one class on vehicle search. Now, I'm an ex-anti-terrorism instructor. I taught vehicle searches. This guy comes in and says, if you find a loose wire, pull it. That's an absolute no-no.
Yeah, that you know, I'm not an ex. What are you, an anti-terrorism instructor? I'm not. But I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be pulling any wires, even if you told me to.
But they have people that come in and give classes.
Okay, all right.
Military personnel with no knowledge.
Fair enough, fair enough. I understand, and I don't want to go too far. I don't want to go too far. I don't want to get off track. It's a great question. It's a great question. We'll see if I can't get the answer for it. I don't have it as I stand here. Well, let me dig into it a little bit and feedback. I'm going to be here a month.
We need to take a break.
We need to take a break. Uh-oh. Is it short?
Yeah. One of the biggest things.
Last question before our break.
We've suffered in the past with our management leadership.
Uh-huh.
If you want to continue on the success record that we've had, these two guys, Mr. Porres and Mr. Montoya, have done a tremendous job since they have
Hey, Fernando,
these guys, they need to keep within the organization.
Well, I'll tell you.
I commend you guys.
Okay, thank you.
By
Thank
the
you
way,
very
he only
much.
takes the credit card, not cash.
Yeah, right. Okay, and I will say to you that I most emphatically agree. Number one.
Yes.
Number two, I have spread that. I've started to spread that around. So, you know, it's great for these guys to hear that because it reinforces, you know, from the people that are working with them every day. So, thanks, and well, I'll pay you the $5 after outside. And so, okay, let me just ask before we take a break. I want to just ask one question, maybe two. Is there somebody wants to, I think, go to the head or something? Is there any value in? Do we want to do this longer? Do we want to talk some more or not?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So, would 10 minutes? One thing that happens every time. Excuse me, just a second longer. One thing that happens whenever you have a big group together and you take a break is people come back and they straggle in and you never get the whole group back together. I see 16 minutes after. If we took a 9-minute break, it was 25 after. I don't want this to go on till 11 o'clock. You guys don't want to, everybody's got to go to bed and work tomorrow, right? Including me. You guys are wearing me out, I'll tell you. All right, so how about that, 10 minutes? 25 after. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Ron.
Yep. Let's start again. Okay, the group is a little bit smaller, but not a lot smaller. That's actually encouraging. So that kind of means that people are interested. That's great. That's why I'm here. A couple things I wanted to say before we start, and then you're first. You've already had there's people lobbying on your behalf, I can tell you. Number one, a couple things. Hey, heads up, you guys, because this is important. I really want you to listen to this. Somebody said to me when we were out there smoking, I won't say who it was, that we were told that URS on the second contract year got more money because you lost money on the first year. And that we were told that. And the fact of the matter is that's not true. URS bid the job for 2 years. We bid it too low. we lived up to that deal. I will tell you that we made an attempt to get a contract change. We went back to them and said, hey, you guys, the job is hurting us. And it's really not fair. And the government said, you signed a contract, you have to live to that contract. And we could have walked away from it. And the company's losing a significant amount of money on this job. Nonetheless, it is not in the core, it does not align with the core values of our company to walk away from a contract. We're living up to it. We're going to lose, we lost money in the first year, we knew we were going to lose money in the second year. That's life. Shame on us for screwing it up. Put it in plain English. And so that's what happened. So I want everybody to understand that. Second thing that was brought up that I thought was a great idea, I said we were going to have smaller groups, so if all the questions don't get answered, if people get tired and everybody's got to get up and go to work and what have you, I want to sit with each team over the next, what I'm hoping to do is on your day off, ask you to give me just a little bit of your time to sit together as a group of 7 or 8 as opposed to a group of 100 or 10 or whatever the size of the team would be, and chat some more. A suggestion was made that while you guys are working, talk amongst yourselves. While the golf team is out on something, or when you're out, chat amongst yourselves, and so think about the kind of stuff we should talk about. It probably never happened to any of you, but it happens to me all the time. I'm talking to people and I'm asking questions, and then I go home and I go to bed and I wake up in the morning and I think, shit, why didn't oops. Darn, why didn't I ask them that? And so, okay. We get some allowances in a war zone? Okay, all right. Put that on. How many do I get? As many. Okay, cool. 5 billion. How far along are you? He's exceeding. Whatever the number is, he's over it. Yeah, damn right. Now buy it more. Now buy another one. But so anyway, we'll talk about this as much as we need to, and you might think of something tonight or tomorrow or when you're talking to somebody else. And so then we can talk about it again. I want to capture all this stuff. I'm going to answer every single question. And I'll try and do it personally. If you ask me a question and I don't have the answer, or even if I do, I'll come back to you and say, here's the answer. And then hopefully, maybe we'll do this again, like I said, have another piece of pizza and share all of them. We'll just kind of read down the list, if you will. Okay, Mr. Johnson wants to say something, wants to ask a question.
Okay, the question is, Aerotech makes a killing off of us. Is there any way that we can talk to Aerotech to bring or make some kind of agreement with them to bring that cost down, because it kills most of us that don't have that kind of money to spend going home?
It's an excellent question. It's an excellent question, and it seems on the surface that we could probably do something like that. I will take that as a personal action to work on. I'm not the procurement guy, but I have a procurement guy that works for me. We will talk with Aerotech and see if we can't negotiate something, because especially if we were to win the second contract, we're going to have a guaranteed number of trips, right? There's going to be a certain number of trips, and it's not guaranteed, but it's virtually guaranteed, and there could be some discounted amount. So it seems like a reasonable thing to do, Mr. Johnson. I think it's a smart thing to do, and we ought to do it.
Besides KLM and Aerotech, some of these cargo flights have seats on them that you can get. You might want to check on that too. All right, that's something worth looking into.
That might be a little more complicated, but I might need some help with that. So I'll ask for some help if I need it.
2, okay, we got a lot of good people. What's the I know you got a certain limit that you can spend, but what's the problem in doing another extra after you pay for the contract and you got all your people, paying something extra for the people that, for the people that's been here 2 or 3 years, give them an extra incentive on top of not including with the Air Force, but for the company itself, saying, okay, we thank you for being here with us or doing such a good job. Let's give you more money out of our own pocket, not coming from Air Force.
To piggyback off of that, would be a good idea if when you made the contract, if it said starting salary, because that means, that implies it grows.
Okay, that's fair enough, fair enough.
Plus, it could have been re-signed, but.
Well, we kind of did that. We kind of did that with the second contract. What we did is add an R&R, and we adjusted the bonuses slightly.
You added an R&R?
Yes, sir, we did. There was an end of contract. At the end of the first year, if you signed for the second year, there was an additional R&R added, 10-day R&R.
Yeah, Moxley took it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I assume most everybody took them if they either took them or sold them. So I think that, most everybody got that. Just one more second. But the question you asked about, well, why don't you give me some money out of your pocket is essentially, why doesn't the company give us some money? The good people, everybody's good people.
Yeah.
So we can't do that. It has to be fair, And somebody asked me a question earlier, and I didn't make the point that you can't do something for one person you don't do for another. You can't negotiate individually with everybody. Because the first thing I negotiate with him, and I say, I like you, man, you're my guy, and I want you to have $2,000, okay? And then I negotiate with him, and I say, well, he's going to know right away that you got $2,000. So that's going to be where it starts. You got to do the same thing for everybody, or you can't, or it's not, it doesn't work. So, and you didn't say that. I was just using you because you're sitting right here.
That's hush money. I didn't say nothing.
I like your style, man. I like your style. But that's a very difficult thing because, okay, the idea is it's a business, right? And for a business, you want to make money. Now, should the company reduce what they make a little bit to reward people? Absolutely. And that's what the company's done on this contract. Adding the incentive bonus, for instance. Some of that's got, if we were just to work really hard and keep everybody here, okay, over this past year and reduce our attrition or our turnover rate, that money could have gone in the company's pocket, right? But it didn't. It's not in anybody's hands yet, but we wrote the contract to say, if we as a team do better, we're going to share that with you. So, and that's our goal again. Our goal again is to do something like that. It won't be exactly the same, and we'll talk about that later, but that's kind of what they did, kind of what the company did. So I've got some ideas about how we might make a sliding scale perhaps or something, but I don't want to get into that much because it's very soft, and once again, I got a whole bunch of people above me that I have to get this run through. But I hear you, and I want to try and do something like that. That's about the best I can do at this moment. I'm sorry, somebody back over here was raising their hand. It was you. I'm sorry, but it was you. I think you've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, it's not a question, it's a statement.
Okay.
Obviously, money motivates people. It cuts down the turnover, but the most major problem that URS faces the screening process. They do a better job of screening these people.
Thank you.
You'll cut down the turnover rate. You'll cut down these issues. And there you have it.
You're absolutely right. Let me.
And
sounds like a couple people really agree with you, and I do too. Let me tell you what we're doing to change to do better. Part of the problem that we had when this job started out was there's one of the most difficult parts of this kind of contracts is you have to mobilize in 30 days. You have to have the minimum number of boots on the ground in theater in 30 days. That's pretty fast, especially when people have to get physicals, get clearances, because most of us didn't have clearances, right?
But I think that's the problem, though. I think that's the problem. That's the major problem. They're looking at numbers, but they're not looking at quality. Absolutely.
Let me just finish my point that I was trying to make. So what happened was when we got started, and this was the group before us, they fell short. They fell significantly short. I think, and don't quote the numbers, okay, but they're close. After 30 days, they had something like 11 pairs of boots on the ground, not 75. And so what had to happen then? So then there was a major panic, okay? All those guys that are up there, they all of a sudden get real excited and say, holy mackerel, you guys are failing horribly. let's get on the stick, let's get going, let's do this, let's, okay? And everybody got spun up, and started recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. I wasn't going to say it quite like that. I was going to say they were recruiting very aggressively and very fast. You're absolutely right. If you know, walking, talking, didn't have a felony on your record, could get it. You know, I mean, that's not too far from true.
Is that true?
Yes, it is. The problem is,
The point was,
To this day.
the point you had, and the reason I said that was you had to be able to get a security clearance. So you had to, there were certain minimum criteria, and if you met them and you were willing to go, because I need 12 pairs, I need 13 pairs, I need 14 pairs, I need 75 pairs of boots on the ground. We've changed our recruiting process a fair amount. I still don't think it's good, but it's much better than it was. One of the things we're doing is we're interviewing people more extensively before they come over here. And maybe you have seen that the more recent recruits are of a higher, are easier to work with, and maybe better employees than some of the earlier folks. Okay, all right. So okay, you know what? Hey, I got it. All right. Thank you. Okay, Levon, that's great. I appreciate that. And you know what? What? This is something. Okay, we're all gonna. I got work to do when this meeting's over. So do you. I'd like to hear your thoughts on how we should recruit. Who should we recruit? Okay, I don't want them right now if you don't mind, because it'll take a lot of time, and I don't want to short, but I do want to hear them. If you've got ideas, I want them. And so what I'd like you to do is, again, a little homework. I'm sorry about that. Is either scratch them down on a piece of paper or get them in your head. And when we sit down, and what team are you on?
Foxtrot.
Foxtrot. Okay. When we sit down with the Foxtrot team, or if it's not the right venue, you and I can sit down and give me your thoughts. It's a big company, right? We just bought another one. You guys probably saw that, right? We bought Flint Energy, I think it's called. Another 10,000 people. We're like 57,000 people. So that it's a big machine, and we've got people that recruit. Many of you may have talked to Raymond Spears. Did you guys talk? Anybody? Or many of you? Yeah, right. Kim Williams. You know Kim Williams? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. What do you think about me?
Chopping block.
You're right, but they were given a get boots on the ground directive, okay? And we didn't do such a good job. And I will I'm the program manager. I'll take some responsibility. And I want to say something. Fernando is the program manager, not me. I was acting as that for a while. So, but putting that aside, and I apologize, Fernando. I'd like to hear your thoughts on recruiting and how we would do better. It's not a complicated process, but it's a process that's got many steps. One of them is screening people, and that's where we failed probably the worst, is screening the right people. There was a time when lots of big bosses were saying we're losing money, and I want to tell you something that maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I told you about being 11 pairs of boots on the ground, 75 required. Maybe everybody knows this, I don't know. Once we got the 75 boots on the ground, the government came back to us and said, URS, you were short 64 pair of boots on the ground, 63, 62, 61, until you got there, pay me for that. We had to pay them back for the services we didn't provide because we didn't have the boots on the ground. So that's why the boys up there above the ceiling got pretty excited. And we failed in that respect, no question. I like to think that we're doing better now. Maybe we're not, Lamont, I don't know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that later. But and I'd like to hear yours on how we could do better. So we'll talk about that some more. You're right, absolutely right. Yes, sir.
One of the things that I didn't understand, and since Fernando tried to explain it to me, but one of my pet peeves is when I don't understand something.
Mm-hmm.
And
me too.
Recently, I hurt my foot and dropped a weight on it.
Don't do that anymore.
Oh, I learned my lesson. And so the medic told me I was in quarantine quarters for 3 days. I don't get paid for those 3 days. Now let's say Berg right here is my roommate. He comes into work and they say, oh, Echo Ramp's closed, you're off. So he's not working.
I got you, but he's getting paid.
He's getting paid.
I got you.
He's doing just as much work as I am. I'm not getting paid. Still the drop damn weight on my foot. That's regardless of facts.
Well, and
what I'm saying is, and I, like you said before,
it's an
and other
interesting
people
point.
said, yeah, this is my third contract as well, and I understand that different contracts are different. But you know, he's getting paid PMW for work he's not doing.
Right.
I'm getting paid nothing for work I'm not doing. You know, on the paper, nothing looks different.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? And
that's an interesting point.
And I understand why.
Make sure we get that.
That's how it works.
I understand. It on the surface it sounds unfair. I'll give you an example, and I don't mean to. I don't want to take time talking. I want you to talk, but I'll give you just a short analogy. Something that happened to me. Very similar. I was going to the airport to catch a plane. A bunch of us were going. I don't remember where. It doesn't matter. I was late, so I'm doing the old. You guys are all too young to remember the O.J. Simpson commercials where he used to run through the airport. Remember that? Jump over the suitcases and all that. That was before 3 jail terms or whatever he's done. But anyway, so when I got to the gate, the guys that I were flying with, 3 of them, was starting walking off the plane. Well, first I get to the gate and they say, "Sorry, too late. You gave your seat to somebody else." And then 3 of my buddies come walking off the plane. "What's up with you guys?" "Oh, they offered us free tickets if we would give our seats up to somebody else." So I was in much the same position. I was, I had a ticket in my hand just like they did. They got a free ticket. I sat with them in the bar for 3 hours waiting for the next plane. So it's, well, I hate to say this because this is what my dad used to tell me. "Larry, life's not fair." But some of that's true. But let me see. It doesn't sound right on the surface. I agree with you. Something doesn't seem right. Let me see if that's, if we can do something about that going forward at least.
The difference between the plane analogy you just gave is that's 3 days I don't get paid.
Oh, I understand.
That affects me.
No, I understand that, absolutely.
I'm sorry to hear about the plane travels.
No.
That's terrible.
Well, and I was just trying to say that for the exact same thing, we were both sitting waiting for the next plane. Yeah. And I understand, I mean, why are we here? We're here because they're paying us. If they stop paying us, we're not showing up. That's me and you both. So I understand.
Well, to take it even further, I mean, I've seen a lot of people drag themselves off the site with flu, 103-degree temperatures. Then the doc forces them on bed rest. They're fighting against it the whole way.
Yeah.
So they're, like, actually making their illness worse.
Right.
So, I mean, like, just having, like, a couple of possible sick days in there somewhere.
I think that's something that's reasonable. It sounds on the surface, okay. Sounds like everybody likes that idea.
He gets a clap and I don't, man.
Somebody's got to tee the ball up and then he gets to hit it, It sounds like a reasonable thing to do, and it doesn't sound like it would be, it would hurt the contract or hurt, right, I think that's right.
Especially
I think you're right.
the doc saying, like, hey, you have to go lay down because you can't be out here and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
It's not for, like, the little sniffles or some crap.
I understand. Well, once again, no matter how many sick days you get, if you get 1, you get 3, you get 5. If you use 6, the 6th day you don't get paid, right? So you have to manage that yourself. If you got the sniffles, you may not want to use a sick day because I might get sick later, right? So anyway, yeah.
Is there a demo process, and if there is, what is it? Because I plan on leaving May 11th, and I plan on having my ticket on a plane May 11th.
Okay.
So is there any process set in place or anything like that?
Sounds like you got it nailed. You're going to have a ticket and be out of here. Okay. I'm sorry, what do you...
I mean, is there...
Process for what you mean?
Is there an out process?
Oh, I see.
Is there...
Out processing. Yes, there is. I can't... HR's got that. Jesus is something... Maybe that's something that Jesus can help us with. Okay. It's an HR requirement. There's a... I don't know what it is, Jesus, but you can help us and we'll define that for him and for everybody. Okay, so he's captured it and I'll get back to you on that. Okay? So let's get on.
Okay, the procedure for going home on medical. You all do not search for the most reasonable ticket. So it's $5,000 round trip. And when I come back to work, the first 3-4 checks are taken, including a bonus, are taken. I didn't make any money.
To pay for that ticket.
Yeah, I didn't make any money at home on short-term disability. Didn't get paid for that. Didn't get paid because I'm not working. Then when I come back to work, that money's taken as well. So,
It's an interesting point.
I mean, I'm not tripping about not paying a ticket.
I understand. No, we could, but can't you get me a cheaper ticket, right? Can't you get me the best deal possible?
Not even that, just postpone the payment back.
Oh,
Spread it out.
oh. I don't know why
I mean,
that, I don't know. That's another policy thing that I don't have control over, but on the surface, it seems reasonable to me. Okay? You know, I want you guys to know something. I'm not a big policy guy. I'm not a big, I'm a kind of a practical guy. And so if it seems practical and reasonable to me, then I'll take it forward, okay? And whether or not I can get it approved is another thing, but I will do that. I will try. You got that, Fernando? And and I'll get back to you with that too. Pardon? Okay. All right. There was somebody else right here. Well,
I don't know who is next.
well, I think it was you. Yeah, Mr. Cook.
If everybody's contract ends May 11th, will there be a new addendum to sign
Yeah,
then?
we're going to do something. Yes, that's one of the, and I didn't say that, but I was going to talk to each team individually and hopefully have it at that time. But I had hoped to have it tonight. Okay, but I'm a simple man. I'm not a complicated guy. I wanted something that was this long. It said, we want you to, I agree to stay until June 11th. I'm going to get this additional bonus, and I can't think of anything else to write, you know? And so, just 1 second. And so, and that was going to be my hope. Unfortunately, when you start writing employment agreements, legal has to review them, others have to review them, and they want to add work. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, but yes, there will be something. Yes. Yes, sir.
That additional bonus, would it be on each check after May 11th until June 11th? Just get about 2 more checks between that time.
On each check. That's a one-time bonus. It's not a week. Sorry, man. Nice try, though. Yes, sir. I forgot your name, but with black hat on there. I apologize. So I don't understand the question.
Every so often getting the bonus,
Yeah.
your money, or are they gonna just pay for what they expect, the whole month now? Or are they gonna just keep paying small amounts that they've been doing?
No, the bonus will be paid, the $667.
The next one, you're talking about the big bonus.
Oh, the big one. The large bonus at the end will be paid.
No. You say you're bidding for the new contract. In the new contract.
Likely, we'll do something, and this is something that I want to get feedback from the individual teams on. So we'll talk about it just briefly in this group, and then we'll talk more. What team are you on? Foxtrot. Okay, so we'll talk with your team and others too. I think the structure will be similar to what it is now. The idea behind it is it's supposed to be an incentive to stay, okay? And initially when we started, those of you that have been here a long time know, I think after 90 days, you got a bonus, right? You were here, Levant. So after 90 days, you got a bonus. And then you didn't get a bonus till the end of the year. That's right. And so when we did the second one, what I thought, and this was my idea, and maybe it was a bad idea. I got lots of bad ideas. Just ask my wife. One of them is my thought was, if we made them closer, so I didn't have to wait. A little aside, and I'm sorry about this, but to put it in context, personal experience. I was on a job once where it was a profit sharing thing. It was a cost savings, kind of like what we're doing with this turnover thing. And so you got a bonus at the end of the job. And there was a lot of criteria. It was pretty clear. Well, the job went on for like 3 years. And so they told us, they had a big meeting, had a big book like this with the bonus plan in it, and Larry, you're going to get a bonus. You work really hard and do really good, you're going to get a bonus. Well, that bonus did not incentivize me for more than about a month. After that bonus is 2 years, 3 years from now. So, yes, I mean, we talked about it, we thought about it for a while, but to be honest, it wasn't a big incentive because it wasn't something that I was going to see near term. And to be honest with you, am I ever going to get it? I don't know for sure. So are we going to save money where I'm going to get a share of this and all that? So my thought at the time was, if you put them like quarterly and make them a little smaller, but make them closer together, it makes people, it incentivizes them to stay at least till the next quarter. And then, okay, I got my bonus, And then if I stay 3 more months, I can get another one. Well, maybe I'll do that. Especially, time goes fast here. That's one thing I've learned in my very short time. So I'm a month in. Well, if I stay 2 more months, I get another bonus. Okay, I'll do that. My goal was to get you to stay. That was my goal when I did that. If there's a better way to do it, I'm open to it. And I would love to find a better way. Does that answer your question or no?
Yeah, it does. Just that a lot of folks just want all of it now. I mean, some people want.
Me too.
I mean, I understand the incentive behind it.
Yeah. But me too. I want it now too. But it's an earned thing, but that's not to say that it can't be done another way. It's just it's so supposed to serve a purpose, and it goes back to that quid pro quo thing again. So, but think about it. If you got another idea, I'm open to it, and I'd love to hear it. Talked a bunch.
Our bonuses are taxed. Different
That's
states.
Uncle Sam. That's not me.
Okay, is that
I'm Uncle
something-
Larry.
In my last my last contract, the employer ate the tax.
That's not going to happen.
No, not an option.
Whoa. Sorry. That's part of your salary. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
I would feel it would be better to just add the money into the contract.
Into your salary, in other words.
salary.
Yeah. And that's what.
That's what they led us to believe in Florida, that we was making 60,000 on top of every 3 months we getting a bonus.
They sounded like it, and then you found out.
It's a part of our
It is.
salary.
It is. It is. Okay, let me think about that. I gotta. That's a tough one. It's a tough nut to crack. Because total compensation. Let's be honest. Total compensation is the total package. And that's what I have to bid. Whatever I have to pay you and everybody else, and it's not me. I'm talking like it's me. It's not me. It's the company. Whatever the company has to pay you, we have to multiply that, and that's what our bid comes out to be. So I could say, and I didn't put that original package together, how it was presented. One of the things we are doing, and this is a point maybe that I'll make real quickly, is that we're trying to show people the salary as a total compensation, not just as a salary or this or that. So that wasn't a clear explanation. I don't quite know how to answer your question, other than to say, if we do it, if I could say I could pay you, let's see, if we had $8,000 in bonuses. Okay, your salary is $52,000 and $8,000 for the bonuses. The people that put this together before me chose to do it the other way. Maybe it was misleading, I don't know. It was not intended to be misleading. It was intended to be enticing, and not misleading. So, if it was, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, Fernando.
A lot of folks have left.
They have.
Do you want to continue this? What do y'all?
What do the people want to do?
So everybody gets same attention to it.
Can I want to say one thing.
Please.
Everybody knows what we're getting paid. We know how much we're getting paid. That's out there. We spent an hour talking about pay. I mean, if you either want the pay or you want to go somewhere else. I don't understand that part. There's other issues that are bigger than the pay, and that's all we've been talking about. The pay is there. That's what we signed. That's what the contract is. If you're here just for money, that's the problem.
We were misled. Yeah. We were told one thing, that we were going to get this plus bonus.
I understand that, but we spent, like I said, the pay is not going to change. Everyone knows that. So it's not going to change. It is what it is.
It's fair. Well,
I mean, I'm just saying there's other bigger things going on.
Well, we can talk
elaborate on
way
those
bigger
other things.
things.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
I'm sorry if I offend anybody. I'm sure I do. But it shouldn't be just about the money, because if you need money that bad, you need to try and find
we wait for our
another
family.
position.
This is about the money. Why you here?
That's what we talking about the Larry for.
Hey! Please, come on.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Uncle Larry.
It's all.
Go ahead, Uncle Larry.
That's all right. Okay. You're right. Everybody's right, and everybody's got their own perspective, and we need to be sensitive to everyone's perspective. Yours included, and theirs included too. The people that recruited some of you, especially the early folks, perhaps didn't do a good job of explaining things. That goes back to the recruiting process we were talking about before. We're trying to do better there. I can't undo what was done yesterday, and I really am sorry about that. What you said is right. We're kind of hemmed in to some extent. If we could make it clearer in some way in the contracts, we'll do that. And other than that, I don't really know what to say about that.
You got a question,
So-
Russ?
Can we break now?
Do you want to, okay, what do you guys want to do? You want to continue or you want to quit?
Man up. Keep talking.
They can leave if they want.
Okay.
They can go
All right.
home if they want.
Okay.
I got one last
Individual
question.
days now, okay?
All right, well, and we can talk, I can talk to anybody that wants to talk. I'll stick around as long
One
as you
thing,
want.
as an incentive, why don't you every Friday payday, just give us a free lottery ticket, we'll call it even.
All right, sounds like a couple people. All right, thanks, everybody.